Do you know that the United States is a country that grows by utilizing immigrant talent? To put it another way, the US gave children more educational chances so they might someday contribute to the country's wealth. Many renowned Chinese scientists immigrated to the US in this way. They had little regard for their native country and fled to China in search of better education and more promising futures. The US, however, disregarded that. Chinese academics who abandoned their homes rather than assuming ownership of them were treated horribly by the American authorities. Chinese scientists are leaving the United States and coming back to China for this reason. What did the United States do to them? And what is the inside scoop? China had a significant role in it, of course. Have you ever pondered how the US developed into a global superpower? The answer is actually rather intriguing. The United States has been and still is regarded as a country having the greatest wolf, oil, and natural gas reserves. Subscribe to this channel now to see the most astonishing and disturbing world projects before we continue. Ready? Let's start. It possessed the resources to invest in a range of businesses that may eventually fuel its economy. We're talking about a time when the US didn't dominate every sector of the global economy. With the available cash, it could only provide for its needs and finish the job. It had the option of hiring experts from other countries and paying them for the task they would finish in terms of development. But everyone thought that was a wonderful move. Instead of sending experts, it decided to construct one of the most prestigious educational institutions in the world in the United States. Professors from all over the world were hired and given rewards in order to make the colleges the greatest in the world. As a result, the US is currently recognized for having excellent institutions. They were given scholarships by the US, but students from many different countries wanted to attend those universities. The idea was to flood the nation with foreign students, educate them at the best universities, and then entice them to stay. Simply said, the most competent class of people might choose to work in the United States and call it their home. It was obviously quite expensive, but it was also a long-term investment. Students would get alluring benefits after graduating from these universities. They couldn't leave the nation and return to the United States since they were receiving significant offers. That is how the United States started off and eventually grew to become the most powerful country in the world. In addition to professors, scientists, and students, there were Chinese tourists. They had to leave China even though they didn't want to in order to get the best education possible. Once they landed in America, the lucrative opportunities prevented them from leaving. This was successful prior to Donald Trump being elected President of the United States. Before discovering that foreigners occupied the highest positions in every department, he started to institute a discriminatory policy. He promised to expel each and every foreign alien. This strategy was briefly moderated though, as he saw that immigrants who had settled in the country were the reason the United States was able to function. But the rivalry with China could not be restrained. The China Initiative was implemented as a consequence. Contrary to what the name would imply, this legislation was not put in place to safeguard the rights of Chinese nationals living in America. This clause, however, allowed Chinese groups in the US to receive them. It also made it possible for the Department of Justice to file charges against American citizens of Chinese descent. The justification for this strategy was to find the Chinese spies, but it wasn't specified who may be intercepted. Anyone may be intercepted since spy was a frontier term that gave the agencies the authority to corner the Chinese. Many Chinese professors and scientists suffered as a result of being the focus of litigation. Chinese residents in the United States started to dread American government policies as a result. Prejudice against the Chinese was based on their race. As a result, Chinese scientists have started to leave the United States. China gave birth to some of the cleanest colleges in the world. This is the first time that Chinese students are being educated more successfully at these institutions than at American universities. Chinese professors and researchers seized the opportunity. The persistent and ever-present danger that they will be kicked out of the nation at any time the government deems it necessary has also substantially complicated their lives and made it significantly more difficult for them to live. The experts from China are unaware of the precise time at which they will be instructed to depart the nation. Even they are concerned that they may be the target of a legal challenge, which might end up costing them tens of thousands of dollars and taking up a significant amount of their time in court. Since Donald Trump has already stated his desire to run for president again in 2024, It is very certain that he will do so with the same divisive ideologies that he successfully used to win the election the first time around. When all of these variables are considered together, they provide a force that is strong enough to convince these Chinese professionals to return to China. According to the survey's essay report, 61% of the 1,300 Chinese academic members working in the United States indicated they felt compelled to abandon their positions. These respondents were employed in the United States. They were academics from various universities, and 42% of them reported having an uneasy sense about the country. According to the findings of a paper that was compiled by academics from Harvard, Princeton, and the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, around 1,400 Chinese experts have switched their devotion to China in recent years. They left the United States and are now living in China so that they can carry on the academic work that they started in the United States. If a large number of scientists departed the nation, the United States would be left without a stable scientific workforce, yet those scientists would be unaware of the damage that would be caused. These kind of evacuations do not occur very infrequently at all. According to projections made by the Asian American and Scholar Forum, more than 1,500 Chinese American scientists will have left the country by the year 2021. According to the findings of a number of studies, the hostile environment that prevails in the United States makes it challenging for persons of Chinese origin to make a living there and maintain their standard of living. It is estimated that around 84% of Chinese individuals will say they were insulted to the point that they had no choice but to leave the nation as a result of the treatment they received. On the other hand, the United States of America is not aware of the magnitude of the difficulties that will be presented to it if immigrants start leaving the nation. There will be openings in high-level positions across the board in the government of the United States of America, which will lead to an inefficient and disorganized administration. Because immigrants are so important to the functioning of the economy and the day-to-day operations of employment in both the public and private sectors, it is almost impossible to imagine what life would be like even for a single day without them. The United States of America has already lived through what can happen as a result of its culture, helping to build an inhospitable environment. In addition, the United States would be on its own if its population joined forces with the government to make the lives of immigrants as difficult as possible. Do you think that China will continue to dominate the academic world, or do you think that the United States of America will one day be able to compete with China for the best and brightest scientists? Is it even somewhat possible that China will use this situation to its advantage and pass the United States? Please share your ideas by leaving a comment below. Click on this video to watch about another shocking project.